Welcome back. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan. Our first guest today is Jana Riggan of Newcastle Life. Jana's been the owner of this community publication for a little over a year, deciding to change career directions to this type of work that focuses on creating and enhancing her community. Prior to owning Newcastle Life, Jana was the marketing and development director of a handful of private schools. As a prior client of these publications, she saw firsthand the effect of being in front of the ideal clientele. Jana, welcome to our virtual show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
We really appreciate you taking your time out of your afternoon. One thing we like to do, because this is a show we talk a lot about numbers and homes and the markets, is just kind of slow down and ask our guests to tell us about a fond memory of the home they grew up in.
Well, the house that we grew up in, it was a brick colonial. I grew up in Olympia, Washington, so pretty close to here. But what was cool about our house is there were 3 brick colonial houses on our street. And then there was one other colonial house built by the same person around a lake in Olympia. And it was just cool because it was pretty unique. They were all very similar, but they were also really, really different. And it was just kind of a fun piece of history, I guess, for our homes.
A fond memory. Yeah. Awesome.
So Jana, this is a tough time for many businesses. A lot of businesses are tightening their belts and making cuts to their expenditures. Should advertising be one of those cuts at this time?
I know there's a lot of businesses who are really thinking about that right now. There is a saying that says, when times are good, you should advertise, but when times are bad, you must. Forbes did an article back in September of 2019, and they were talking about marketing during a recession. The fun part is they were looking at different businesses that were marketing back before the Great Depression or before in the 1970s, and then how things really changed. So before the Great Depression, Post cereal was the #1 cereal brand, and they stopped advertising. They just way reduced their ad spend. Kellogg's upped their ad spend. And after the Great Depression, Kellogg's came out as #1. So that's kind of a fun story. And also around that same time, McDonald's stopped advertising. They declined their market share by about 28%. So I don't know if this is Great Depression, but this is a different recession, right? Pizza Hut and Taco Bell both increased their advertising. Pizza Hut sales went up by 61%. Taco Bell went up by 40%.
Wow.
So yeah, so it really does matter. And I know that right now businesses are concerned of how am I going to do, payroll and all these other things. But if they can find a way to be able to still attract their ideal market, it's almost like putting money in the bank, right? This is how you're going to build a business when this is all over. And
it takes courage, right? It takes courage to take that step and confidence in your process. I think one of the big challenges that many marketers have, I'm a big fan of marketing, but many businesses, small businesses have, is they're coming from a point of, let's hold on. We just need to hold on and get through this. And while there are many where that advice may be perfect, right? Is, do you have confidence in the people in your organization? And do you have confidence in the process that your organization and the value that it brings to the consumer? Because you can spend a bunch of money on marketing, but if you don't have that follow-up, if you don't have something that people want, if you don't have great burgers, then you're in trouble.
That's true.
So tell me, Jana, what is a must-have for a marketing plan?
So at the end of the day, I think you have to have a website. You have to have some sort of social media presence. Those are pretty easy to get, but I'm surprised at how many businesses I meet with that are still working on their website, or they're afraid of Instagram. So getting out there and just starting, take one step. The other thing that you need to do, and this is going to sound sort of silly, is answer your phone. There's so many businesses out there, small businesses, that, the guy is out there, he's doing all his work, but he doesn't answer his phone. So those are clients that you're missing. So try to figure out how to make sure that when somebody does reach out to you, you're there. If somebody messages you on Instagram, respond, right? So #1 is be there for your potential clients and then have some sort of presence on social media.
One of the things that kills me is I'll see a business that I'm interested in their product. I'll fill out a web form and never hear back. And it's like, well, guess what? I'd have likely done business with them if they'd simply responded to the inquiry. So Dan asked you what the gotta haves, the must have. What should a business have as part of the marketing plan?
Yeah, so it's sort of like where are you right now? Like a lot of businesses they advertise because they want to have business right away, but really what you should have is some way of building your brand. That consistency of being out there in front of your ideal client over and over and over again, right? There's all these sayings that you would need to be in front of your client 7 times, 10 times.
Wow.
Sorry, that's my dog.
Another guest. How exciting.
Oh my God. But if there's a way that you can put some dollars into just building your brand, being in front of people, get them to know you, then to like you, and then to trust you, because that is where the magic will happen.
That's great.
But Jenna, I think there's a couple of different things in that, right? Is we have, passive marketing, active marketing, we have brand awareness, we have, relational marketing or network marketing, referral marketing. There's a lot of different things. And I think that you have to cover all the bases, especially because brand awareness, I think, is a part that's a subtle thing. It lends a more credibility, even when the consumer doesn't know it, right? They don't realize that they're seeing this everywhere. But, you see Nike on everybody's jersey if you're watching football, right? You see that these are brand awarenesses. It's not like I saw that Nike swoosh and I said, oh, hey, I should go buy a pair of Nikes. It's that continued brand awareness, right?
Exactly. And it's hard for businesses to track. So they like to step away. Like today, we can track all of our social media. So they want to only be able to do the things that track. But it's really important that if you can be in some sort of print marketing that makes sense for your clientele. A radio spot is great. How are you getting in front of these folks consistently over time? And don't worry so much about, well, I was in this publication, did I get a phone call, or I was doing this and I didn't get this. It is working. It's just
right.
Not maybe in a way that you think it is.
Right. So what are the questions that I need to answer to determine the best plan? Who's my ideal client? Give me some examples.
Yeah. So if you are a high-end home builder, you don't necessarily want to advertise to a less affluent area, right? Same if you are like the cheapest roofer in town, those might be the folks that you want to be in front of. I think one of the first question somebody says is who is my ideal clientele? Is it an affluent community? I was working with a med spa who was advertising in the Clyde Hill Medina area. Her med spa was fabulous and great and whatever, but maybe was not as fancy as it needed to be for those folks. But maybe just pivot a little bit, go to a community that is still affluent, but maybe not quite have the same expectations. Really take a hard look at what it is your business is. What is it that you do? Does it make sense for you to be, are these your people, right? And be okay with saying no. The other thing is do you want to be that client? Let's say you are a roofer. Do you want to drive from Olympia to Mount Vernon, or do you want to really kind of target your area? Figure out what that is, right? So then as you're marketing, how can you hone that in a little bit more and really just target to the folks that you want?
Cool. So you're talking about some marketing that might be misplaced and a waste of time. What's the best way to measure that? How do you tell?
There is going to be a little bit of a trial and error. I think if you are marketing to the wrong community and you start getting folks coming in your door and you're like, this is not right for me, right away you can tell, and then you should be able to change your course. It's kind of a balance, because you do need to, in any kind of marketing, you do need to stay the course and play around with it a little bit, and not just pull out because you're not thinking you're going to get those results. But, let's say you're in a Valpak coupon and all of a sudden you realize that you're going out on all these bids and you're a high-end roofing company or siding company or whatever, and none of these are going through, right? Then that's a telltale sign that maybe this is not the place for you to be. And how do you steer away from that and find a different path?
So we're talking about Newcastle Life. Newcastle Life is a publication. Can you describe it for our listeners today?
Yeah, so Newcastle Life, it's the people magazine of the neighborhood is what I call. Our content is all about the families, the kids, the pets, the local community. It works because it's all about the neighbors. So the content is very exciting for them. They're engaged with it. We also have a handful of other communities still with the same area. We have one publication on Mercer Island. We have one over in the Clyde-Hill Medina area. We have one over in Bridal Trails, Kirkland. We go into Seattle, Laurelhurst, Windermere, the Madison Park area, and we go north and south. So we are a publication that is hitting more of a high-end community, which for a company that's their target, we are a great resource for that.
So I've been told print marketing's dead. Is that still true?
It is not still true. Now more than ever, print is showing, people are seeing that it's trustworthy. Millennials all the way up, people, if they see something in print, trust it more than if they see it on digital. I think also, as you are getting bombarded with all these different ads and everything, it's nice to be able to get away from that a little bit and have your brand in a print format, right? You still need to be on digital. Absolutely. You cannot put that away. But print is something that is going to build on that foundation for you. And it's that brand build, right? It's that seeing it over time in that community is really going to make a difference for you as a business owner.
So let me put you on the spot a little bit. How are you marketing your business?
How am I marketing my business?
Yeah.
I like a lot of different things. I do network marketing. I have Instagram and Facebook. And just being straight up in the community.
Sure. Get
my leads and my clients. I definitely, I do some calling as well. I call around Seattle and talk to small business owners all the time. So it's interesting, just as I talk to different business owners, I do talk to the ones that don't have the website. I talk to ones that don't have Instagram. I talk to ones that are afraid of print marketing and think it's dead. I talk to all of these different folks, right? What I can tell from my clients and the ones that I work with is they do see results from working with us over time.
So I need new clients right now. How do I do that?
So
Another put you on the spot.
Huh?
Another put you on the spot.
Another put you on the spot. Well, and
let's say theoretically, I need new clients right
now. Make sure that you have those foundations in place, that social media. What kind of client are you looking for? Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and make some phone calls. Going through your old leads is a kind of a great place. If you are a business who right now has just lost a bunch of clients, your pipeline is dead, go back to the ones that were interested a while back, reach out to them again. Look at all of the marketing ideas that you had, have conversations with folks. Because right now, the other thing that's happening is you can get some decent deals on advertising, right? Something that may have been super expensive before is maybe dropped down a couple $100s. So look at all of those options for you. But I would say one of the things that people aren't doing and need to is literally pick up the phone.
Yeah, it's simple. Not easy sometimes, but it's simple.
Right.
Okay, this is not a true statement of me. I already have all the business I need. What should I do? This is a hypothetical because I will always take more business. But let's say somebody came to you and said, Jana, look, I already got all it. Why do I need to market my business?
This is a perfect example of what's going on. You might have a pipeline, you might be filled up for 6 months, and then something like this happens. What happened to all of your clients? You want to make sure you're still in front of people because they are still going to want to be making changes to their home. Let's say you're a remodeler. They're still going to have a need for your service, but maybe just not today, maybe tomorrow. Make sure you're staying in front of people. There is a kind of a fun story of one of our publications out in the Midwest where they had giant hail, right? Like the golf ball size hail. And there was a reporter who had been advertising for a while, and he'd been in publication for about 4 or 5 years. And he ended up at the end of this storm writing $4 to $5 million worth of business because he had been able to build his brand within this neighborhood and be in front of people over time. Didn't he see that like in the 4 years before that? No, he was probably doing a couple roofs at a time, right? But when something like this hits, that's when you really can see the effect of just being in front of people, building that relationship with them over time.
Awesome. Well, listen, Jana, we appreciate you joining us on the show today and sharing a lot of great insights. How do our listeners get a hold of you?
They can send me an email. My email is jana.riggan. It's RIGGAN at N2 pub as in publication.com. They can also find me on Instagram at Newcastle Life Magazine. Same way at Facebook at Newcastle Life Magazine. If they message me, I do respond. So it's a great way to.
That's great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, Jana.
Thanks, you guys.
All right. After this break, we're going to welcome Pia Larson. She's a previous guest. We're going to welcome her back onto the show with Fingerprint Marketing, and she's going to share some more ideas on what to do to market your business during this economic crisis. Come back after this short commercial break.